Hey, this is Steve Bloom, and you are listening to the Geekcast Radio Network.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the podcast arena. Coming to the ring at this time...
Oh, you didn't know? Your ass better call somebody!
First, representing This Week in Geek, and from parts unknown, he is Mike, the Birdman, Dodd.
I am one hardcore D-O-double-D. I'm a nice man. I'm a nice man.
His tag team partner, representing the Geekcast Radio Network, and hailing from the outer reaches of your mind, he is Mike, TFG1 Blanchard.
I got 4 words for you. Check out my ass.
And from the Great White North, here is your special guest referee, Ryan, the UnEvenFlow.
The Mountie always gets his man.
You are listening to Mayhem Mics. And now, let's get ready to podcast!
Tonight, WWE superstars take it to the max. Tonight, they go extreme.
Hello and welcome to Mayhem Mics. This is episode 43. I am, of course, TFG1 Mike. Joining me, as always, is Ryan, the UnEvenFlow Merkley. Hello, sir.
Hello.
I think we're just sticking to the 4 big pay-per-views a year from now on, folks. I'm done. I'm so fucking done with this shit. Oh my god. 4 pay-per-views a year, and whatever other old matches or old or new series or whatever, because this is between the go-home show week going into Extreme Rules and the aftermath of Extreme Rules and the aftermath. I'm bored. I think out of my notes there was 2 matches that I absolutely enjoyed. The rest sucked out of Extreme Rules.
I mean, we'll see.
We'll see. I don't know.
And now, Tap Out Athletic Wear presents Extreme Rules.
We started off the night with the Raw Tag Team Championship, the Deleter of Worlds versus the B Team. Why the hell do they let Curtis and whatever his name is win?
I think it's a good... So, first of all, by the way, I'll mention the pre-show for this was actually really good.
Who was on
surprisingly. So we had Sin Cara versus Cien Almos, which was a rematch from the previous Tuesday. It wasn't as good as their match on Tuesday, but it was solid. And then they had Sanity versus The New Day in a tables match, which was actually quite good.
Sweet.
And probably should have been on the main
card
show, but whatever. As for this, I mean, it's a feel-good sort of thing with Axel and Dallas, who've been there
so long
for quite some time, and creative hasn't known what to do with them, and they've continued working and staying there, being on TV every week, that sort of thing, and just, I think it's all right. It's more of a feel-good moment than this was a good match or a good feud. See, where I differ is I feel like the weekly shows have not been good at all. The pay-per-views, this wasn't a great pay-per-view, but it was an entertaining pay-per-view.
Yeah.
Like, this was a feel-good sort of ending and match in the end. But it wasn't a great match or anything. So, I'm fine with it. I think Axel and Dallas, I mean, they certainly have talent. It's nice to see them actually being used for something. And again, it gives some of the people who are being underutilized some hope that
they actually
something
have a
can
career.
come of it.
Yeah, exactly.
But it also took them forever to do this, and that's really disappointing. And the way it was done is not great either. So, although having said that, I mean, overall, the writing has not been great. Again, especially on the weekly shows. So.
Yeah. And what in the hell? Curtis said something so stupid at the end of this, and I'm like, I can't even remember what it was. It was so stupid that I don't remember it, but, like, that guy needs a lot of help on mic work. Then we get into Balor versus Corbin. Pick a path for Corbin, please. Either he's going to be a wrestler or he's... I mean, I know he's doing the whole corporate Kang shtick again, but, like... Seriously, did we need Balor versus Corbin? Balor should be in contention for the Universal Championship, which we will talk about at the end of this thing. Oh, God.
I think inevitably they both will be. It's just they don't have a whole lot of time to figure it out, or to figure out. With the title in limbo, there's only so much they can do with the two of them. And I'm okay with... This hasn't been a great feud. It's just sort of a placeholder. Yep. The match here was kind of It was all right, nothing special. But yeah, this does nothing to highlight either of them, and the feud's been pretty lackluster thus far. So.
Yep. Yeah, it really is. Then we had Asuka versus Carmella for the Women's Championship, with Ellsworth stuck in a shark cage.
This was terrible. I love Asuka, but she has been booked horribly.
Yeah, she has.
The Carmella stuff, I understand wanting to cover up the fact she's not a great wrestler.
Yeah.
And she's improved quite a bit, and she's had some reasonably good matches, so I can understand that. But this was crap, and it just seemed Bush League that you could see the rigging and everything else holding Ellsworth up. This whole thing was just terrible. And
yeah, it was. I think the funniest part of this is when the commentators were trying to cover up the fact that the rigging was showing.
Like, is he wearing a flak jacket?
Yeah.
No. Good try, Corey. You get an A for effort, but no, the whole thing's been bad. And at the very least, I would say that this was entertaining, but it was still bad.
And the one thing I didn't mention before we started talking about this, after I had wrote my notes for Balor versus Corbin, 32 minutes in and I'm bored. But wait, here we go, the Bludgeons backstage killing Team Hell No. That was sort of exciting.
We'll get to that later, yeah.
Yeah, later. Yeah.
This was much like the build for it and the weekly shows. This has been poorly written. It was reasonably entertaining, but poorly written. I feel like that sums up this pay-per-view. Yeah. The weekly shows have been poorly written and not particularly entertaining. I'll get to that more later. But yeah, again, at least I'd say the pay-per-view is entertaining. And the next match, too, by the way, not poorly written. At least it was entertaining, but it wasn't really a match. And that was Nakamura versus Hardy. So I guess Hardy is banged up, but having said that, he put on a great match on Tuesday with Shinsuke, so I don't think he's that banged up. Having said that, though, this was solid, just because it's a heel thing to do for him to win in 6 seconds via cheating. I don't have an issue with it. It would have been nice to see the two of them have a solid match, although we did get that on SmackDown at least. You would expect it for the pay-per-view, but at the very least, if you're not going to put on a good match, or you're going to have a match that is overshadowed by a gimmick, in this case the nut shot, at least advance the storyline, which it did. And I'm okay with. So I'm okay with this. And then they had, we had Orton come out and maul. I mean, why does everyone hate Jeff Hardy's balls, really?
Yeah, really.
That really got worked over here. But, Orton comes out and beats up Hardy. And so we get advancement of that, too, and his return. So I was okay with this. It sounds like you were less okay with it. But
Nakamura, if obviously he is a heel at this point, if you're going to keep him heel, give him something else to do to people other than the low blow.
Yeah, I'm okay with it. It makes sense.
Yeah, here it makes sense, but like after the second time with AJ, I'm like, okay, figure out something else. Figure out some other way to cheat. I don't know. But
they overused it with AJ, but I think aside from that, he's done really well, especially as a heel. He does
absolutely.
He does great mic work, and no, he does. He's very good at it. Being both condescending and then doing the no speak English bit. But I don't know.
I don't know where this is going because of the whole Randy thing. Is this heading towards a triple threat? I don't know, because the next night on SmackDown, I'll talk about this here because it relates to this match.
That's right, yeah.
The next night on SmackDown, or not next night, but this past Tuesday, Randy comes out, goes after Jeff, and like tries to rip the guy's ear off. Like, what the hell? And keeps screaming, "If you don't know why I'm out here, you know." Like, okay, Randy, it looks like you're having a lot of fun, which is great, because we know what happens when he doesn't have fun, when he's not into it, because we've talked about it before. But
he looks energized. Yeah,
he does, very much so.
I think he just works better as a heel, though.
Oh, absolutely.
And I like the fact that at least I don't know where this is going, because everything else it feels like I kind of do, and this is not well done. So I'm actually enjoying this feud, and part of that, too, is, I mean, I'm definitely a big fan of Jeff Hardy. He's a first ballot, surefire Hall of Famer. Mm-hmm. Shinsuke, I don't think it's a secret that I'm definitely a big fan of. Mm-hmm. And Orton, when he is motivated, I can really enjoy. So the fact that you got three guys that are definitely motivated and into it, I don't know, I like this. And this is probably the feud I am enjoying the most, which is not saying much considering the other ones, but
yeah, as long as this eventually ends up in a triple threat for, like, the U.S. title or something.
Maybe, or even some sort of almost round robin, right? Where you get Orton finally snaps and goes after Nakamura, but then Hardy still wants a piece of him. If these are three guys that I think will work well enough together. If they want to keep them all in a program together, they're good enough to do that. So
absolutely they are.
This is one of the few things that worked for me on both the pay-per-view and is working for me on TV.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Then we have Braun versus Owens.
Man, Kevin Owens he deserves some sort of award / Iron Man for what he's been doing the last little bit. And I know the angle of some of the shots of the table, you could see that there was a pad, which, by the way, if somebody out there is going, oh, they wouldn't have used that years ago, or somebody's like, oh, Owens not real tough, that kind of thing, you're an idiot, and I don't want to know you, and I hate you, because, Foley, we all know what happened to Mick Foley and how horribly injured he was, aside from the fact that he could have easily been killed or something worse.
Yeah.
This is dangerous, and any way they can make any of this stuff safer for the performers. Look at all the guys. Orton's come back from a shoulder injury. Hardy came back from a shoulder injury not long ago. We talked about Finn and Seth. The last couple of years, we've seen so many guys get hurt really severely that any way they can make it safer, go for it, especially with Owens, who a week before took the pay-per-view before, took the ladder bump at Money in the Bank, which didn't look like there was any sort of padding or anything anywhere, and now takes this. Oof. Jesus, Kevin.
Yeah,
They need to give him something for all this too, because he's out there every week, despite the fact they have him doing insane shit, trying to kill himself, and he's entertaining on the mic and when he's doing this stuff. So, now excited on that. By the way, this match, I liked the fact. So normally I would dislike the fact that they were both stupid in the match. But I figure it cancels each other out. Because you had Owens who, after the handcuffs were introduced, took way too long to decide, I'm going to climb the cage now and win.
Yeah.
And then you have Braun who loses the match by throwing Owens off of the cage.
Right.
Because they both did something kind of dumb, though, I figure it canceled it out.
It canceled it out because they were both great moments. Okay, Kevin climbing the cage. Kevin climbing the cage isn't the great moment part of that moment in there. Like Braun trying to figure out, breaking the handcuffs. That's the great moment in that part. And
I'd argue too. By the way, Owens' work where after Braun is handcuffed, he starts feeling cocky and starts trying to beat him up.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
I liked Owens. For all, by the way, he starts out kind of begging, and finally kind of resigns himself, and then eventually he just decides, all right, you know what, I'm gonna try to fight, and
that was
it
really
worked.
good.
And then of course we have later on the introduction of the handcuffs.
Absolutely. That fall though at the end, wow.
Yeah,
even though I don't care if they throw mattresses out there. Not that they're going to do that, but I don't care if I see like giant mattresses out there. A fall from, let's just say the steel cages are 20 feet in the air. Okay, let's just say the top of the steel, because Cole was like, oh, that's got to be like 15, 20 feet in the air. Plus, you add into that how tall Braun is and holding Kevin up over him, or what? Well, he wasn't holding him up over his shoulder, but.
The fact is, generally, they're jumping off of these cages. It's not a straight, wander off.
Yeah, no. Because
you got to get the distance. Because, if you miss that and you slam into...
If you miss that, you're fucked.
Yeah, and that's essentially what happened to Foley. I mean, he still hit the table, but it wasn't... There was nothing to break it. And continuing to do ridiculously dangerous stuff without making it safer is just stupid. And like you were saying, even with a pad or whatever, this got really freaking hurt.
Yeah.
There's no way that he felt great after all that. And this is aside from all the physical stuff beforehand.
Oh, absolutely. And the other thing is you got to think of, as a viewer, as an audience member, whether you're there or whether you're watching it on TV or computer or phone or whatever. Most of the time, the commentators are talking as the action is happening. Even when he's falling, Michael Cole was like, oh my god, Braun Strowman just threw... Whatever he said, I don't remember what the hell he said, but I'm saying, like, the whole point is, they're talking as, like... unless it's really, really bad, you're not going to hear a lot of the pain that Kevin Owens went through. I mean, we heard the table crunching, but, like, you're not going to hit... I didn't hear him hit the floor. I heard him obviously hit the table and then the floor, but, like, even if he had to be thrown out on the floor itself, I don't know, that's a little weird, but yeah, that match was just so good. That's, like, one of my two favorite parts of this pay-per-view is that match.
Yeah, I'd also say we're into the back half of things as well, too, and I thought the back half of the pay-per-view overall was a lot better. However, we're about to get into a match which, we had Team Hell No versus the Bludgeon Brothers. Now, who knows what would have happened if Kane didn't get hurt? He got hurt at a house show or something, apparently, and so they had to find a way to kind of
fit that in.
Keep him from wrestling and get him off TV, that kind of thing. Okay, fine, but again, I had mentioned this on our last show. Aside from putting Bryan and Kane together for a cheap, kind of quick, feel-good moment, there wasn't a lot long-term. Well, it's made even worse when you don't even really get the feel-good moment or anything. and the Bludgeon Brothers beat the hell out of Daniel Bryan and win the match.
Yeah.
Why not have Kane lose when he's the injured one, by the way, and protect Bryan a little bit? Yeah. I saw somebody else mention that, and I thought to myself, yeah, that's exactly how I kind of feel. Have the injured guy take the pin. Bryan, ever since he's come back, it just doesn't feel... I don't know. It just doesn't feel great so far.
It doesn't feel good at all, because it's like, what are you doing?
I don't know. He hasn't... Now, having said that, Miz on Tuesday was on point, and I like that he pointed out that since Bryan's come back, he hasn't been booked or involved much. Also, the wins against Cass are pretty much erased because, of course, they're not mentioning him or anything else. So he hasn't had much since he's come back, especially when you wipe out the feud he won.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, just... I don't know.
This was
weird.
Yeah, this is really weird. Like, I don't know. Like, I understand why.
Again, we won't know.
Yeah, we won't know. But I understand
what was going to happen.
Yeah, I understand why they did the Team Hell No reunion, and I thought it was great. I thought it was fun. I didn't think it was going to last, and even if Kane didn't get injured, so like I understand that. But like at this point, because I haven't seen it in a few years, I really hope that this is going to really end up as Miz versus Bryan again.
I think now is the time to finally kind of pull that trigger. They've teased us with it
for so long.
That's a feud that I'm definitely interested in seeing because the two of them just work really well together and are very much kind of fire and ice in real life and in terms of their feuds. So it just worked really well. So.
Yep. Then was Uncle Bob versus Roman. Oh God,
this was actually good.
It was a good match, but
it was much better than I thought it would be, and a fairly surprising ending. So I have no issue with. I was happy with this. I'm not too happy that the two of them are going to do it again next week.
Yeah,
but.
What I am happy about is that it's not like they're sort of holding over, preserving the fact that the Shield could have a reunion whenever Dean gets healthy, because I'm like, oh, hell no, you better not have Seth and Roman win to have to go against each other again for the shot. So originally I thought this was, I thought that was the original plan, though, on this match specifically for this pay-per-view.
Well, remember, they had the four-way teased originally, and then something happened with Brock in real life.
Okay.
And they scrapped that, and suddenly these two hated each other.
Yep.
I don't know. That was a little weird. They should have just had it that this match was for the right to meet Brock. Instead, we're going to get a rehash on Raw again.
I know, but that's what I thought this was. That's like they didn't even say that. They like you said, something happened. They changed it. They did this. They did that. And obviously, we now have what's going to happen with the rehash. Alexa versus Nia again for the Raw Women's Championship.
I thought it was a good. I thought this was a good storytelling match.
It was,
The things I didn't like... Oh, by the way, one thing I wanted to mention, too. You can tell the Lashley Reigns was pretty good, because even the crowd stopped being idiots probably about halfway through. They kind of got into it. That was impressive. But anyway, for this one, the only thing I didn't like is Natalya, who's a ring vet and been around for years, kind of looked like an idiot and just kind of let Mickey help cheat through until a certain point where she was obviously supposed to intervene, and then we get the Ronda Rousey interference. But having said that, fairly good, and I wasn't surprised Bliss won. I was surprised how she won.
Yeah.
In terms of, I like what they did, where Jax was able to get the. It looked like Jax was going to win. She had her up for the Samoa drop, possibly onto chairs, etc., etc. Mickey was able to interfere despite everything that happened earlier, and then finally, Bliss wins with the DDT onto the steel chair, which I'm always a fan of. So,
yeah, that was really good. I just, I know this is a holdover and all that. It was a really good match for being a holdover / storytelling match, because obviously the whole thing with Ronda and all that. Meanwhile, on Raw the next night, it's okay, Ronda, just go home. I like Corbin in his Constable form more so than putting him in matches at this point, so... he comes out and he's like, oh, come on, Kurt. No, she needs another week on her suspension or something or other or whatever. I don't remember what the hell it was, but that was kind of interesting. Then we get AJ versus Rusev.
Very good match between the two of them, yes. Unsurprisingly. Nothing... It wasn't surprising in terms of the end, but whatever. I mean, I thought it was a good match. I'm happy. I was really happy to see Rusev get his first ever world title shot. I think it was long overdue.
Yeah. And
hopefully they find a way to keep him involved. And the fact that it was a good match is proof to them, or hopefully they'll find it. Hopefully they'll look at the fact it was a good match and decide, yeah, we should keep him in there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, hopefully. I mean, I love this match. I thought this is one of the best matches. This and, like I said earlier, the Braun Owens thing are my two favorites. And AJ has worked a lot since he's been in WWE, but I don't think I've seen him work this much in this match since his days when he was going up against Cena. This was a tough match for him. And this was a tough win because Rusev is a very, very tough opponent. And the fact that they have the whole storyline angle of Aiden English removing the turnbuckle and...
And I liked the Rusev's... So one of the things I've always liked about Rusev is he's good at selling... injuries, and AJ working the leg was the big thing he kind of sold here.
Yep.
Yeah, worked for me.
And then the pay-per-view ends with the final match of the night being Ziggler versus Rollins for the Iron Man match. This was brutal. I mean, Seth just... Wow. I mean, we've seen Seth in recent... all year this year, he has been a workhorse. Wow, this match was crazy good.
The only thing that bugs me about this was, and now I'm finally going to talk about it because I want to skip it until now, so this worked out well. I did not like this crowd, and their stupid counting with the clock. I've always backed, at least on this show when we talk about it, the whole, you can kind of react the way you want. I haven't been with the people who just kind of boo Reigns for no reason. If they're booing him for bad writing or something like that, that's okay. But I haven't really been with them when they kind of boo him just because, or just because he's Roman Reigns, that kind of thing. But... I'm definitely not with them on this one. The whole... I don't get it. These are two guys who the crowd supposedly likes.
Yeah, really.
Who are great workers. I don't think there's a single person who could explain to me how either of these guys is terrible, or how either of these guys deserves to be booed while they're working, or people counting down the clock or doing other dumb bullshit during their matches. And I just it hurt the match to me. I thought this was a great match that the crowd should have been into and normally would have been, but they were too busy being jackasses for whatever reason. I have no clue why.
Yeah.
this happened. I mean, there have been timers on other matches, and people don't act like idiots. I don't have a clue what the point of any of that was, and it really bugs me that these are two guys. And again, people want to say, "Oh, we boo Roman Reigns to teach the WWE a lesson that we don't like this guy." Well, what are you trying to teach them about these two? Because supposedly the crowd likes these guys, but they were idiots when they were out there as well. So, well, anyway, as for the match, yeah, it was quite good. I was surprised I had that many falls.
Yeah.
Like, we ended with 9 falls, which I believe is the highest. Highest I can remember. And we had the overtime as well, which, by the way, well, I'll get to that in a second. But first, I just want to say, I ended up liking what they did with McIntyre. So McIntyre got Ziggler down 3-0.
Right.
And I remember thinking to myself, well, that was dumb. But they let Ziggler get the 2 falls, essentially, because Rollins was out of it. So that was all right. What I don't like is the end where McIntyre just appeared out of nowhere again after being banned or booted from ringside. B, it was during the overtime where Angle restarted things, and he says, the crowd doesn't want to see a tie. We're going to sudden death overtime. And then 2 seconds in, McIntyre and Ziggler cheat. Why wouldn't Angle go out again and say, well, that was bullshit.
Yeah.
The guy we banned from ringside for interfering came out and interfered again. We're going to restart it. Or can't end like this or something like that. But so that was a little weird. Makes Angle seem kind of odd that he just, I don't know, he was okay. He was not okay with it ending in a tie, but he's okay if somebody cheats in 2 seconds. And
apparently.
So the ending was a little odd, but the match itself was really, really good. And again, it was entertaining, but the logic just kind of doesn't hold up. So,
Yeah, it's just crazy. I think this card needed to be flip-flopped. You could still dedicate the same amount of time to each match, but just move the matches around. Like, this, I think, should have maybe been in the middle instead of the ending. I don't know. I didn't really care for the placement of this last match.
Well, I have a bunch of... So, I wouldn't have had the pre-show at all. We've talked about this before.
Yeah.
It's way too long to have fans sit there for 4 hours of wrestling. And I would have probably had the opener be the Sanity New Day, because I thought that was a good opening match. It had an Extreme Rules gimmick to it, as in the tables match. And I thought it would have worked well. And then, yeah, maybe after that hit the Iron Man match for Rollins and Ziggler for the Intercontinental belt. But I don't know. Then where do you move some of the other stuff? I hate the fact that we get tag team matches on the early show, or they get rushed, or that kind of thing. Yeah. So where do you put that? Although maybe you move Corbin Balor to
you can move that. You can move that to the pre-show. Something.
Well, again, I remember I said don't have a pre-show, so
that's
so we're not allowed to move it to the pre-show. If Kane is hurt, why not reschedule it or something?
Yeah, really.
That's another option, actually. Maybe just say the match has been moved, or maybe have the Bludgeon Brothers attack him before the match, like they did, and then you have Paige or somebody come out from SmackDown and say, well, we're not going to have the match because you guys just cheated and beat the crap out of him off stage, backstage. So then you could move that around. we've been over this a number of times, that with the brand split, they have so much talent and they want to get everybody on TV, which I'm in favor of. I think all of these people deserve to get those pay-per-view paychecks and everything else because they work hard weekly. Absolutely. And they should get paid for it. And their job is dangerous, especially if your name's Owens. But
yeah,
the amount, I'm trying to there we go. Now I figured out how I want to word this. The amount of concentration it takes me, and I don't feel like I'm a dumb guy. The amount of concentration it takes to sit down and watch something for 4 hours with very short breaks in between, and half the time, by the way, the breaks insultingly just show us what we just saw, which bugs me, but let's skip over that for now. Mm-hmm. The amount of concentration it takes me watching on my TV, where I can just get up and do something else or go grab something to eat or whatever, it's a fair amount of commitment and concentration. I can't imagine sitting there through a whole show. And I was at the NXT pay-per-view a little over a year ago. Oh, geez, actually, it's about to be 2 years ago. But in any case, I was there, and that was perfect. It was the perfect length. The crowd was hot. Everybody was having a good time. And then I went to the SummerSlam the next night in Toronto. They were both in Toronto. You're getting pretty much similar crowds because the people going to the NXT pay-per-view are wrestling fans. So, yeah, if it's in their city, they're going to go see the WWE pay-per-view.
Right.
So you're asking the crowd to come back. And in that case, good God, that was, 6 hours? I think, if I remember right.
Yep.
After 2 hours the night before, and I got back to the hotel pretty quickly. I got a hotel really close to the Air Canada Centre, so it worked out well. And we're both huge wrestling fans. It was neat to see it live and everything else, but you're beat by the time the actual pay-per-view starts because of the pre-show stuff. And I didn't talk about it much at the time, but by the end of the show, you're tired. You just want to go home. But in my case, I had to travel back to Ottawa, which is a good 5-hour drive. Lucky me. And just, I don't understand this. To me, I would rather shorten it, if I were WWE, sorry. I'd rather shorten it and pay people for doing nothing. Maybe say, all right, sorry, we moved your match, we're going to pay you anyway.
Right, yeah.
I'd rather shorten it and pay the people and have the crowd into it, because it's a better visual and audio, for that matter, when the crowd's celebrating.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they gotta find a way to shorten these pay-per-views, because they just keep getting longer and longer and longer. Like, 32 minutes in, when I felt like I was bored with Extreme Rules, I'm like, I feel like I've been sitting here for 2 hours. Like, that's how bad the beginning of this pay-per-view was.
And I'd still say it was entertaining, but by the end, it did feel long. Yes. Despite that. So
the pay-per-view on a whole was entertaining at points, but that first 32 minutes, oh my God, was just no. I'm really glad I don't watch the pre and the post shows. Like, have they given up doing Raw Talk and Talking Smack because they've added the post shows now? Is that what that's supposed to be? I don't even know.
Yeah, no. I miss... The Talking Smack and stuff worked because it was a network kind of thing, and I could go watch it whenever I wanted to after the show was done, and that was kind of nice. That worked well.
Right, yeah.
And yeah, I find if I'm not there at the time, I never watch the post pay-per-view stuff. I watched it this time where Lashley was about 10 times more charismatic and on point than he's been on TV, which was really impressive. It makes me wonder if somebody's giving him talking points or that kind of thing before his actual promos, because this was pretty clearly him being himself, and it worked a lot better. I don't know.
Rating for me for God, I almost called it Money in the Bank. Extreme Rules, 3 out of 5.
Yeah, this is tough. Like I said, I thought it was entertaining, but I didn't think it was well written, nor do I think it was great. So I agree, actually. I'm going to say 3 out of 5, because that's what I was thinking, is 3 out of 5, 6 out of 10, that kind of range.
Yep.
But the Raw afterwards, I did not particularly enjoy it. SmackDown was, gotta be honest, SmackDown I thought was a lot better, but a lot of that was because I really enjoyed The Miz and his terrible / outstanding eulogy for Team Hell No, because I thought that worked.
That was the best part of that, yeah.
Yeah, but I thought the Raw was mediocre at best, and I enjoy a lot of the guys that were working in those triple threats, but
yeah,
as soon as Reigns won, you knew Lashley was winning the second one.
Oh, of course. Of course. Like, it's
who wants to pin Elias? Oh, sorry.
Let's hope nobody, because, no.
It would have been so much more entertaining if pretty much anyone else won, but instead we get a rehash of a match we just saw a couple nights earlier. Yeah, and I was okay with them rehashing Nakamura Hardy, because we didn't get to see that.
Yeah.
At the pay-per-view, and I thought this worked well. Mm-hmm. Like everything I want to say about the weekly show, I just enjoyed SmackDown so much more than Raw. And again, part of that is 3 hours versus 2 hours.
Yep.
There were a couple of meh things in SmackDown I didn't like. Mm-hmm. But the show's so much shorter that I can digest them better instead of an extra hour with even more stuff potentially that I was meh on. So,
I mean, even me watching Raw on Hulu and having it be the cut down version, the no 3 hour version thing, it was still way too long.
It's funny because we're at a point where I would argue that wrestling's in some of the best shape it's ever been in terms of pure entertainment value. The issue is that it's not collected in one place. Right. So what I'm trying to say is even at the height of the Attitude Era, it was easier because you really only had 2 shows. You had Raw and you had Nitro. And, the other shows were B shows that you could generally skip.
It's like what
no
main
offense
event
to
is
SmackDown
now.
And Thunder was crap, so full offense to it. But, so you only had the 2. Now, we've got all this other stuff, though, because there's a lot of great stuff in the indies. Like, Cody Rhodes has been fantastic. The New Japan stuff, the pay-per-views have been amazing and are readily available. You've got NXT, which is consistently very, very good. Mm-hmm. So you've got all this stuff, but it's spread out everywhere. And then you've got elements of SmackDown and Raw that are good, but you got a lot of crap. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of junk in the other ones, too, but because their shows are, A, less high profile, because Raw and SmackDown are everywhere. Yep. They're the big leagues, quote unquote. But you've got all the other stuff. It's easier to forget about the not good stuff when you're only committing an hour or 2 of your time.
Right. Yeah.
When it's 5 hours a week I really think they've been hurt too by having it back to back. Because man, by the time I hit Wednesday, I'm burnt out on wrestling.
Oh yeah.
Like if I bother to watch them live.
Yep.
But yeah, it just I just don't I don't know what they're doing, and I don't know where they're going creatively, and a lot of the stuff I'm not enjoying, and it's not enough to not make me a fan, because a lot of it is I love the wrestlers and I love their wrestling. I don't think there's anything that can turn me off of watching somebody like Rollins or Owens work.
Yeah.
But, oof, they're certainly trying with these storylines.
Mm-hmm. Yes, they are.
I guess it's the same of... So, we did the pull bag.
Yes,
where
we
we talked about Boom Studios' WWE comic.
Yep, Volume 1.
My general rule is if a comic is consistently not enjoyable for me, I drop it.
Obviously.
And I don't want to drop in WWE television, but I'm kind of closing in at the point where I'm just going to kind of watch the stuff I'm interested in and the guys I'm interested in.
Mm-hmm.
I'm getting there.
Like, yeah, oh yeah.
It's... I don't know, and I don't know what the solution is. It's easy for me to sit here and criticize, but I don't have a fix. You know, the first thing I would fix is cut down on the programming, obviously. But in terms of fixing the writing or that kind of thing, do they need to fire the writers? Do they need to change the whole sort of creative direction? Do they need somebody different overseeing things? Like Hunter apparently oversees a lot of NXT. So is that the answer? I don't know.
Right.
I don't know enough about the scenarios or the build-up of these things. So again, it's easy for me to sit here and criticize, but I don't have a solution for it.
I have an entertaining solution for it.
Have a match to decide who runs the company?
Okay, there's that. Or we can just, you know, for at least 1 week of the podcast, just go away from the wrestling and we can review the upcoming release of Ms. and Mrs. Episode 1. We could. Because it would be funny to hear your commentary on WWE reality programming.
Yeah, I may check it out, because The Miz is entertaining, even at his worst. Mm-hmm. It's so weird. He's somebody we should probably do some sort of career retrospective on.
We will be, yeah.
He has had one of the weirdest careers, really, if you sit back and think about it. And he's still relatively the same guy. Like, it's so odd. And it's interesting to me because he gets accused of being lazy, most notably by Daniel Bryan himself once. And yet, it's clear he's a ridiculously hard worker that takes everything seriously, and he's just one of the weirdest guys. Like, if you were setting up a list of wrestlers and that kind of thing, it just feels like he is one of the... How did this guy end up becoming a wrestler? How did all this turn out?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Most definitely.
Anyway,
I think that's going to do it for us, folks.
Oh, yeah. We were done like 10 minutes ago.
Yeah, I know. Where can the people find you online, sir?
At Nightbeat on Twitter.
I am at TFU.
Send me wrestling tweets. What? You can.
Yeah, you can. I'm at TFG and Mike on Twitter. You can also follow at Geekcast Radio and at This Week in Geek for all the other respective network content from each of our networks. Next time around, who knows? Next time, I do know. I don't know what specific ones, because we'll talk about that off air, but next episode 44 of the podcast, we're going to do an episode of Ride Along and an episode of Table for Three.
Yep, and we also have one of the big pay-per-views coming up.
Which is, SummerSlam. That's in 5 weeks, though.
Yep.
Yeah. That's SummerSlam, right. After that, we don't have to do anything until Survivor Series. Come on, that was funny. Anyway.
Hey.
God, you're bad. Alright, we're going to get the heck out of here. We will catch you next time here on Mayhem Mics.
Hey, right along. The Shield's in the car together.
Sierra Hotel, India, Echo, Lima, Delta, Shield.
You just made the list!
All clear.